Welcome to Sera's Voice, a quiet place for tired hearts and lonely nights. Sometimes, when the world becomes too loud, we come here to listen to stories that sound a little too familiar. Stories about love, about mistakes, about the things we did not because they were right, but because we loved too much. Tonight, on Sera's Voice, I want to tell you a story about being foolish. Not foolish in life, not foolish in choices, but foolish because of love. Maybe somewhere in this story, you will see a part of yourself. And maybe that's why it hurts. I used to believe that loving someone meant giving them everything: your time, your patience, your trust, even the parts of yourself you were supposed to keep. I believed that if you loved enough, tried enough, waited enough, one day, they would finally choose you. I didn't know back then that love is not something you should have to beg for. I met him at a time when my life was quiet. Not perfect, but stable. I had my routine, my small dreams, my simple peace. And then he walked in and made everything feel brighter. He knew how to talk. He knew how to listen. He knew exactly what to say to make me feel seen. He told me I was different. He told me I was special. He told me he felt safe with me, and I believed every word. We didn't start as lovers. We started as friends. Long messages, late night calls, small jokes, shared secrets. He became the person I wanted to tell everything to. When he finally held my hand, I remember thinking, I will do anything to keep this. That was the first time I chose him over myself. At the beginning, everything felt easy. We laughed a lot. We made plans. We talked about the future like it was something we could touch if we just reached far enough. But slowly, almost quietly, things started to change. He began to cancel plans. He began to reply slower. Sometimes, he disappeared for a whole day. Then two, and every time, I told myself, he's just busy, he's tired, he has a lot on his mind. I became very good at making excuses for him, because loving someone makes you very good at lying to yourself. The first time he forgot something important to me. He said he was sorry, so I forgave him. The first time he made me wait for hours and never came. He said something came up, so I believed him. The first time he hurt me and said, "You're just overthinking," I looked at myself and thought, maybe I am, and that was how I started to shrink. I changed without even noticing. I replied faster, I waited longer, I asked for less, I accepted more, I smiled when I wanted to cry, I said it's okay when it wasn't. I thought love meant endurance. I thought loving someone meant learning how to suffer quietly. Sometimes, late at night, I would stare at my phone, waiting for a message that never came, and still, I would whisper to myself, maybe tomorrow. He always came back, and every time he did, I forgot everything, because when he smiled, when he held me, when he said, "I missed you," it felt like the world was warm again. That was the second time I chose hope over reality. There was a time when I started living my days around him without even realizing it. I woke up and the first thing I did was check my phone, not because I had something important to do, but because I was hoping. He had written to me. Some mornings, there was a message, some mornings, there wasn't, and I learned how to guess what kind of day it was going to be based on that. When he texted me, my whole day felt lighter. When he didn't, everything felt heavy. I told myself that was normal, that was just what it meant to care about someone. But slowly, my world became very small. It became the size of his replies, the speed of his messages, the tone of his voice. If he sounded warm, I was happy. If he sounded distant, I spent the whole day wondering what I had done wrong. I started to think about him all the time, while working, while eating, while walking. Even when I was with other people, my body was there, but my mind was always somewhere else. With him, sometimes, he would disappear for a whole day. No message, no call, nothing. I told myself not to be dramatic. I told myself he had his own life, but I still checked my phone every few minutes. I still felt my heart sink a little more every hour. And when he finally came back and said, "Sorry, today was crazy," I said, "It's okay," and I meant, please don't leave again. There were days when we were good, really good. He would be sweet, He would talk about his day, he would ask about mine, he would say things like, "I wish you were here," and I would believe that meant something. On those days, I felt safe again. On those days, I thought, maybe I was just overthinking, maybe he really does care, maybe things are going to be okay. But those days never lasted. There were also days when he was cold, short replies, late replies, no questions, no warmth, and I would sit there, staring at my screen, trying to read between the lines, trying to understand what had changed, trying to understand what I had done. Sometimes, I would write a message, then delete it, then write another one, then delete it again, because I didn't want to sound needy. I didn't want to sound like I cared more than I should. I didn't want to push him away, so I learned how to stay quiet. I learned how to pretend that I was okay with less. There was a time when I got sick, not seriously, just a cold, fever, tired, weak. I remember lying in bed, feeling very small, and thinking, I wish he were here. I told him I wasn't feeling well. He replied, "Oh, that's too bad. Get some rest." That was all. No call, no "do you need anything?" No "let me come see you." I told myself, he's busy. But that night, I cried, not because I was sick, but because I realized I was alone, even when I was supposed to not be. Sometimes, my friends asked me, "How are things with him?" I always said, "Good," not because it was true, but because I didn't know how to explain something that had no shape. How do you explain a relationship that exists only when the other person wants it to? How do you explain that you're always waiting for a reply, waiting for a call, waiting for a plan, waiting to be chosen? There were moments when I almost said something, almost said, "I'm not happy, I need more, I'm tired of waiting," but every time, I remembered the way he sometimes disappeared, and I was afraid that if I asked for too much, he would disappear for good. So I stayed quiet, I stayed small, I stayed grateful for whatever he gave me, even when it wasn't enough. There was a night when he promised to call. He said, "I'll call you tonight." I waited while watching a movie, I waited while the movie ended, I waited while it got late, I waited until it was almost morning. He never called. The next day, he said, "I fell asleep." I said, "It's okay," but something inside me broke a little, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a small crack in something that was already fragile. After that, I stopped expecting things, and that was even worse, because when you stop expecting, you also stop believing, but you keep staying anyway. Sometimes, I wondered what he was really doing when he wasn't with me, who he was talking to, who he was laughing with, who he was giving his time to. I tried not to think about it, but the thought always came back at night, and at night, everything feels heavier. There was a time when he came to see me after being distant for a long time. He smiled, he hugged me, he said, "I missed you," and just like that, I forgot everything again. I hated myself for that, but I couldn't help it, because when you love someone, your heart always remembers the good parts louder than the bad ones. We sat together, we talked, he told me stories, he laughed. He looked like the version of him I fell in love with, and I thought, see? He's still here. Maybe I was wrong, maybe he just doesn't know how to show it. That night, when he left, I felt warm again, and empty again, at the same time. That was when I started to realize something strange. Even when he was with me, I was already afraid of losing him. I started to measure my words, my reactions, my emotions. I didn't want to be too much. I didn't want to be too sensitive, I didn't want to be too needy. I tried to be easy, understanding, low maintenance, the kind of person who never complains, the kind of person who is always okay, but I wasn't okay. I was tired of guessing, tired of waiting, tired of feeling like I was always one step behind in my own relationship. Sometimes, I looked at other couples, the way they held hands without thinking, the way they texted each other without fear, the way they were sure, and I wondered, why does my love feel like a question? But I never asked him that, because deep down, I was afraid of the answer. There was a time when I started noticing that he only came to me when it was convenient for him, when he was bored, when he needed comfort, when something in his life didn't go well. But when I needed him, He was often busy, or tired, or not in the mood to talk. At first, I told myself that everyone has their own problems, that I shouldn't be selfish, that love means understanding. But slowly, I started to realize something painful. Understanding was something only I was doing. There were nights when I wanted to talk, not about anything big, just about my day, about something small that made me sad, or something stupid that made me laugh. I would type a message, then stop, then erase it, because I was afraid to disturb him, afraid to be too much. And when I finally sent something, sometimes he wouldn't reply until the next day, and when he did, it was often just, "Sorry, fell asleep," or "Today was crazy," no question, no "How are you?" no continuation, and I would still reply, "It's okay," and then stare at the screen, waiting for more. That never came. There was a day when I had a really bad day at work. Everything went wrong. I was tired, I was frustrated, I just wanted to hear his voice. I called him, he didn't answer. I texted him, "Can you call me when you're free? I really need to talk." He saw it, he didn't reply. 3 hours later, he sent, "Sorry, I was out with friends." That was all. I sat there, holding my phone, and I remember thinking, so, this is what I am in your life, something you answer when everything else is done, something you come to when there's nothing better to do. That night, I cried, but the next day, when he acted normal again, I acted normal too, because I didn't want to lose him, even if that meant losing myself a little more. Sometimes, he would talk about other girls, not in a serious way, just casually, like, "A girl at work said something funny today," or, "My friend introduced me to someone yesterday." He always said it like it was nothing, and I always laughed and said, "Oh, that's nice," but inside, something hurt. I wanted to ask, "Who am I to you?" but I already knew the answer, and I wasn't ready to hear it. There was a night when we were supposed to meet. I got ready, I chose my clothes carefully, I even put on a little makeup. Even though he always said he didn't care about those things, I waited, and waited, and waited. Then he texted. Something came up. "Let's do it another time." No apology, no explanation, just that. I sat there, fully dressed, and stared at the wall for a long time. Then I changed into my pajamas and went to bed. That was the night I started to feel really stupid, not because he didn't come, but because I still hoped he would. There were moments when I tried to pull away, to reply slower, to care less, to act like I wasn't always available, but every time he came back with a little warmth, I fell right back in, like I had learned nothing. One day, I accidentally saw something on his phone. He was showing me a picture, and a message popped up, from a girl. The message was short, but the tone was too familiar. I didn't say anything, I just smiled and gave his phone back. But that night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying that small moment over and over again. I wanted to ask him, but I was afraid of the answer, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of hearing the truth. So I stayed quiet, again, and silence became my habit. There were times when he disappeared for 2 days, sometimes 3. When he came back, he always had a reason. I was really busy, I had a lot going on, I needed some space, and I always said, "I understand," but what I really meant was, "Please don't leave." I started to realize something very ugly about myself. I was not staying because I was happy, I was staying because I was afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid that if I left, everything I had suffered would mean nothing. So I stayed, and every day, I became a little smaller, a little quieter, a little less myself, until one day, I barely recognized the person I had become. One day, I finally asked him, "What are we?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "Why do we need a label? Let's just stay like this." I knew what that meant, but I still said, "Okay," because I was afraid that if I asked for more, I would lose even what I already had. So I stayed, in something that had no name, no promise, no direction, but I stayed, because I loved him. Sometimes he was gentle, sometimes he was distant, sometimes he made me feel like the most important person in the world, sometimes he made me feel completely invisible, and I accepted all of it. because I thought this was the price of loving someone who didn't know how to stay. My friends told me, "You deserve better." I smiled and said, "He's just not good at showing his feelings." Deep inside, I already knew the truth, I just wasn't brave enough to face it. Then one day, I saw something I couldn't unsee, a photo, him, and another girl. They were standing close. Too close. When I asked him, he laughed and said, "You're thinking too much," and I believed him. Again, that was the third time I chose him over my own intuition. The day everything ended was very ordinary. No fight, no shouting, no drama. He just said, "I think we should stop," like he was talking about the weather. I asked, "Why?" He said, "I'm tired." I asked, "Did I do something wrong?" He said, "It's not about you." And then I asked the question I was most afraid of. "Did you ever love me?" He didn't answer, and in that silence, I understood everything. After he left, my world became very quiet, too quiet. I woke up and reached for my phone. Nothing. I ate alone, I walked alone, I cried alone, for a long time. I kept asking myself, why wasn't I enough? What did I do wrong? What does she have that I don't? And then one day, I realized something painful. I was not foolish because I loved him. I was foolish because I forgot to love myself. Love should not make you smaller. Love should not make you feel afraid every day. Love should not make you beg to be chosen. I didn't lose him, I lost myself, and that was the part that hurt the most. It took me a long time to start coming back, to sleep without crying, to wake up without checking my phone, to breathe without feeling heavy, and one day, I realized, I didn't miss him anymore. I missed the person I was before I tried so hard to be enough for someone else. Some people don't come into your life to stay, they come to teach you, and he taught me something I will never forget. That loving someone should never cost you your dignity. But even now, sometimes, when the night is quiet, I still wonder, will I ever be able to love again? Without being afraid? Will I ever be able to open my heart? Without losing myself? I don't know. All I know is, this story is not really about him, it's about me, and maybe, the next story, will be about learning how to love again, and maybe that's what foolish because of love really means. Not loving the wrong person, but loving someone so much that you forget yourself. Thank you for spending these quiet moments with Sera's voice. If this story touched your heart, if you saw a part of yourself in it, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Sera's voice. It really helps this small channel continue telling stories for lonely nights. And if you want to leave a little message, please comment Mrs. Sera below. I read every single one. Maybe the next story will be about healing. Maybe it will be about learning how to love again. This is Sera's voice. Good night, and take care of your heart.